Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to Pen Review with Peter Han. I have a special little review for you guys today. This is the Neo Smartpen N2. This was a gift from the Superani team from Comic-Con just this last weekend. And I got this as a little special gift to just test out and see how it goes. And I wanted to put this up as a review to kind of show how my experience was behind it. And as you can see from the box label here, kind of shows you some different applications that you can use with the Google Play, Apple Store, all that such. And it has, different apps for different tablets or phone uses that you can have. And it is an app used with conjunction with the pen itself, so that way you can kind of record your drawings as you're drawing with the pen and be able to kind of replay back on things and kind of see your process into it, which is pretty cool. This was one of the books that they gave me as well to kind of draw on top of. This was, again, a pen that was branded with the Kim Jung Gi kind of team, the Superani team. As you'll notice with the paper, it's pretty nice and clean. It's got a little note on the top of the right-hand corner, a little envelope, and it kind of shows you that you can actually click on that to send emails too. So seeing the interior of the pages, you can kind of see the Kim Jung Gi illustrations. He did a quick personal sketch for me as well. And I've already been using this sketch pad a little bit here and there just to test it out. I've used multiple different pens as well just to test out the paper, but I've been mainly now using this kind of the smart pen to kind of see how well it records my sketches and drawings. And that's the whole point of this pen, actually, is to record your drawings, or even note taking. Actually that's what it was mainly used for too, is for note taking. So let's open up the box, and I have already opened up this before, but I just wanted to kind of repackage it to show you what it looks like. And this is the actual pen itself. We'll put the packaging aside, and again, it's really nicely packed together in terms of the package design and of course the branding side from the smart pen. The pen itself is nice and weighty. It's got a triangular kind of form towards it. It's got his own little branding, his name and everything on top of that as well, the Superani logo, which is that soldier. We'll take the cap off and see how the interior looks. It's got an interesting overall pen design itself. It's really weighty, actually. It's quite heavy to your hand after a while of drawing with it too. You don't notice it at first, but after a while you do start to notice the weight on top, especially depending on the position of where your hand is placed. Pressing the button, you'll turn it on, and it is all Bluetooth connection to your phone or tablet. And it's got a little sensor inside that little cavity right there, but the actual pen you can pull in and out, and it's a refillable standard zebra ballpoint pen. And I don't necessarily use too much ballpoint pens for my own personal use, but that's the one it comes with. And here's a little refill pack that it came with the package as well, and these you can buy at any art store, I'm assuming. It's a nice little package deal. And of course, inside came with a small little notebook. If you did not get a sketchbook, this one comes with a small notebook that you can actually draw inside of. This one is not a clear blank page. It actually has little check marks and also kind of set up as a notebook more for just note taking. So we'll turn the pen off for the moment, and it does take about half an hour to do a pretty good charge. It does hold charge pretty good a while as well too, and I did take it on location. I'll give you a bit of indication how it works. So here's my phone, and I'm going to kind of show you how the app works with the drawings. And I've already gone on location once to do a drawing itself. And I'm kind of swiping back and forth to show you different booklets that the actual app will record on. By clicking on the top right panel, you'll start to see the battery for the pen itself. Top left kind of gives you some different options into the settings and kind of typical things you would see for an app. And we're going to click on the middle book here, because that's the one I've been drawing on, and we can kind of swipe through the pages to see the drawings that I've been kind of collecting together so far. And again, it only records drawings with these pens. Other drawings with the pens that you've had doesn't record them, obviously. Notice some of the drawings are on single pages with spreads, so it only records drawing per page. This one was drawn landscape, and so it records it as a landscape drawing. You can export it as a JPEG, or I'm sorry, a PNG, and you'll be able to rotate it in your gallery later on. As you'll notice, again, it records the drawings pretty well. You can't see in full detail, but I'll upload some images and posts for you guys as well too. Let's take this drawing, the giraffe that I have opened up, and it gives you a few options as you drop down from the middle tab. It'll give you like a transcribe tagging option, a voice option, a replay option, which is what I'm going to click right here right now. And by clicking play, it will go back to the very beginning of the sketch and just continue to replay the entire thing. Now this is on 1:1. Now we can do twice the speed, 4 times the speed, and 8 times the speed. And so it'll go through the entire drawing for you. The cool thing about this is that you can actually do a part of the sketch and pretty much just stop and then redraw later on in a much later period of time if you want to continue the sketch, and it'll replay continuously throughout the entire thing from beginning to end. So I could do a sketch right now. go for maybe half an hour, maybe I run out of time, I can actually stop and do it another period of time later on. It'll keep recording from that same page and it'll replay from that entire moment. So I can skip through different sections and parts, and you'll show the complete sketch and the finish. We'll go back to the app a little bit, and you kind of see some other options as well too. You can record your voice through this through the app as well, which is interesting. Here we can actually export out as a PNG, a PDF, a text file, and also a vector file, which is actually very, very cool. Here we're exporting as PNG. You can choose the actual app you want to use to export on, whether Instagram or email, whatever the case is. So as a vector, you can actually save it out as towards your Photoshop file, open up an Illustrator also, and you would have a vector file that you can actually increase and decrease the size without having any resolution problems, which is pretty cool. So here, let's take a look at the app in terms of actual line quality and see how it works. Here we have, again, testing the battery out in terms of what it's at, 90%, so it's a good connection. Holds the battery fairly well. I was at the zoo the entire day from 90%, dropped down to about 20 at the end of the day, and I was there from like 1 p.m. till about 8 p.m., so it lasted a good amount of time. Here we're going to test out some of the lines. As we put a line down, it'll record it. We'll click on the sketchbook, and it'll show you the line that it pops up. Now we can actually do this live now too, and draw several lines and shapes, and it'll pop right up. Now, sensitivity is a little bit, again, if you have a very light hand, it is going to miss some lines. This is, again, mainly geared more towards note takers. So let's say if you're in a classroom or a meeting or an office and you're talking to people or doing some kind of like, art jam, it would be really cool to do that too, to be able to just record your information and notes. For drawing, it does, again, work very well. It records a good sense amount of pressure. It's got 120 frame per second recording. It does export at 1100 dpi, which is a very, very good image quality. But again, sometimes the pressure sensitivity is not fully there just yet, so it won't capture the thinnest of lines at times. Also, you can actually have the app off and be drawing separately, and your pen will be recording the entire time, and after it's done recording, it stores it internally in the pen, and then you can actually turn on the app and it'll basically upload directly up to the app once you complete the sketch. So it's actually pretty cool to see that you can actually use the pen while the app is not running, but also see it live while it's also used over here too. Now I can kind of see some benefits used for this in terms of education, but I will say that again, because of the pressure sensitivity, the quality of the drawing can sometimes suffer a little bit because you are missing some strokes. Through the app being turned off, sometimes I have also noticed that it doesn't record some of the line strokes here and there. It just kind of skips it every now and again. So that has a bit of an issue right there. Here again, we go to the secondary page, and it actually automatically will go to the secondary page to record that. So that's also really cool. Is that the page the pen can actually recognize which page you are on when you're actually starting a sketchbook. So I can actually jump all the way to page 50, and it'll automatically start recording on that particular page. So again, very, very nice little handy thing. Here I just clicked on the actual little envelope on the upper right hand corner, and it'll automatically bring up the email so I can send out that particular page out as a PNG to myself or somebody else. So again, another simple way of exporting out images if you have them. Going back to, again, the previous first page, I can jump back to the first page after you've gone through several pages, and let's say I'm not still done with page number 1, I still want to complete a few more things. I can actually go back in there and continue drawing. It'll continue to record from that step. So it's actually very cool to see how you can kind of jump around, and it's very it feels natural. It doesn't feel like you have to set up anything too much. There's not too much interaction with the app. Everything is done through the pen. So again, actually very handy. So let's go and use the actual Kim Jung Gi book that they gave me. I'm going to just jump to a page and just start drawing. And as you can see, it automatically jumps to the page that I want to actually have it shown on the app, and it'll go now one to one. Now I'm going to just use this pen and just kind of draw something out for you guys. I'll just kind of create something here for you, and I'll continue talking about how my feelings were about this pen. There are a few cons about this. Now the positives obviously are the fact that the app and the pen work very well together. Being able to control and also show which page you're drawing on also is a great benefit. The pen itself has a pretty good pressure sensitivity, not the best for the lightest hand, but it does show majority of your lines. The app is pretty strong, but I feel like that's the weakest end at the moment. It's mostly in software. The hardware itself is actually pretty solid. But I think with a few more updates and a bit more tweaks with the actual app, I think this could be a much stronger tool set for artists particularly. Now, if you're a note taker, like I said before, it's going to be a great pen for you. It's going to be awesome for classes and stuff like that, jotting down notes, having meetings and such. So it's great for that particular aspect. But in terms of being a designer or an artist, it does have some downfalls. Now, for me, being someone who likes to share my process, especially if I do a lot of my sketches as I'm doing right now, it shows me a replay as to the sketch that I'm drawing, so I can go back and replay it and watch it for myself. The problem and the issue is that I cannot export that video, so that means I can only share it for myself. Now, if I want to actually export the video, there's actually a huge process that I have to go through to get that video off my phone onto whatever format or platform that I want to get onto. That means I have to actually use multiple apps and download onto my phone to be able to record the actual video, a replay, and to be able to then upload it to another source. So that means, again, as I continue to do the sketch and I finish it up, once I've done it and actually go back to the replay section, I have to download a separate app, which is basically any kind of screen recording app that's available for most phones, which is what I did. I would then play the replay, and then I would start recording the screen. And so that means I actually have to record the screen off my phone, and then I would have to export and save that as a file onto my phone itself. Then from there, I would actually then upload it onto, let's say, Instagram or Photoshop to be able to, I'm sorry, not Photoshop, but Facebook, onto that particular app to show the whole process itself too. But again, now you're doing a two-step process where you're recording it on the Neo Smartpen app, then having to replay it, starting the secondary app, which is a screen recording app, and then save that out and then upload it onto a third platform, so like Instagram or Facebook. So again, that's a lot of process just to get a video of my replay onto the internet and be able to share it with people. Now, when it comes to sharing images, it works perfectly fine, and so as a PNG or as a vector file or as a PDF, again, exports just fine, high quality, it looks great. But that's the only downside I can really see is mostly within the app section. Once they kind of remedy that part of it in terms of your options to share, not just images but also video, it'd be really cool. I have not tested out the option of voice just yet, and so that means any kind of voice recording while I'm sketching, I haven't particularly done, so I do want to test that out and see how it goes later on. So I can also share not just the video process, but then also talk about what I'm drawing as well too. Again, it's mostly going to be within updates within firmware and apps later on, so I think that could probably be solved very easily from their end of it. Other downsides, the pen again is quite heavy. So if you're drawing for half an hour at a time up to past that, you're gonna start to feel the weight of the pen overall. It's pretty long, it's very large in a lot of ways. You don't feel it at first, but again, you do start to feel it more and more you draw. So the pen, the actual ballpoint pen from Zebra, of course, is a very high quality pen itself, ballpoint, and it works very smoothly on this paper, and so it's quite nice. Now keep in mind that the sketchbook that I'm using is particularly connected to the Neo Smartpen. They're branded together, so that means any other paper source or any other sketchbook that I draw on with this paper, it will not record it. Now the reason why is on this paper, you can't really see it from the video, but if you look up really close to the paper source, it has these little dots basically printed directly on the paper, and very faint, but they're there. It's very noticeable when you get up close, and I'm assuming those dots are plotting points for the pen to be able to use to record your position of the pen. And so without it, of course, the pen can't recognize where you are, and it can't recognize data being collected from the page itself. And so that means if you use this paper up and you have to buy a new sketchbook, you have to get a brand new sketchbook tied directly to the Smart Pen. So you cannot use any other paper source except their brand. Now again, it's not because they're controlling which paper to use, but it's because they printed that dot system, that kind of coordinates of dots to be able for the pen to be able to understand what to basically send as information to the actual app itself. So that's one of the other dilemmas, is if you don't want to carry around too many sketchbooks, let's say you're using multiple sketchbooks or one that you kind of favor, you have to carry a secondary one specifically for the Neo Smartpen if you want to use it. Now this one was again branded with the Kim Jung Gi Superani team guys, and obviously it's connected with his artwork and stuff like that. I've seen him use this particular pen here and there. I haven't really seen a full demo just yet. I'm not really quite sure how he feels about it. I was actually kind of surprised to see his name attached to this particular product, and after using it, I can kind of see that honestly, in my opinion, it's a great product, it's a great tool, it has a lot of fun aspects behind it, but it does feel a little bit gimmicky at times, and I can't see actual use in terms of functional use, application for myself professionally just yet. Now, it's close, and I think it's actually a very useful tool in a lot of different ways, especially when it comes to quick sketching, sharing, all that kind of stuff. With a few remedies in terms of firmware, maybe they can do some further generations of the pens later on to lighten it up a little bit. I think it could have a much better purpose and use towards it too. So again, in terms of other people's or artists' sense or thoughts behind the pen, I'm not really quite sure. But for me, I don't see any professional use just yet. It is good for just note taking. I wouldn't particularly go to this one for my first go-to pen. But it does have some good benefits behind it, especially when it comes to the sharing. But that's pretty much the only aspect that I would say I could really use it for right now too. The ballpoint onto this page does need a little bit of time to dry out. It does smudge if you tend to move your hand around it just a little bit, so you have to kind of watch out where you pull the ink a little bit, as ballpoint does require just a little bit of time to kind of completely dry out. Once it's dry, it does stay stable. I've used other mediums on top of the sketchbook just to draw on too, because it's a good smooth paper. Felt tip pens, the high techs, even the water brush pens too do work fairly well. I haven't used any other color mediums like watercolor on top of this, so I haven't really noticed any sort of distortion of paper just yet, just based on water mediums. But I'll test that out possibly later on to kind of see how that goes. I'm going to transition this paper just a little bit later on to also to show you guys the rest of the sketch. But so far, again, it seems like a smooth transition from paper to the app itself. As you notice, all of it is live. I don't have to have my phone on to do this. As remember what I said before, I can actually have the app off, and I can save battery on my phone, just keep recording with the pen drawing. Later on, turn the app on. It'll completely transfer this entire sketch directly onto the app, and I can also go back and rewatch and replay it for myself as much as I want to. In terms of file sizes of these drawings and the videos, I'm not really quite sure how much it takes just yet. I haven't gone that deep into the app just yet. My phone, I'm using the Samsung Note 5, has a pretty large 64 gigabyte external little memory card, so it does hold a good amount, and I haven't uploaded too much, mostly just photographs and such like that, and images, so I don't think it's taking up too much, because it doesn't seem like a lot of my storage has been taking up quite a bit, and so I'll have to go back and kind of check on how much storage this thing is really taking. But having the experience of going on location, using this on the zoo, I would say that actually was quite fun. People were actually very curious as to what I was doing, so I was actually drawing it, using my phone. The pen was actually obviously kind of unique looking, and of course the very fact that I was just drawing, people were just kind of interested and kind of asking about it too, and people were very fascinated by it. And also they felt a lot of kids really loved the idea of being able to draw something on paper and having it on the phone, sharing it on Instagram and stuff like that. So that actually has some good benefits again in terms of just regular social use. So if you find that you think you could use this particular thing for just kind of sharing images for faster image, kind of transitions and also uploads towards other platforms, I would say this would be the good pen for you. But for me, just yet, I don't think it's there just yet. So hopefully soon they'll come out with some other future generations, and we'll do another kind of review later on that. So in terms of general reviews for myself, I would say for general construction in terms of the actual pen itself, hardware wise, I would definitely give it about a good 8.5, maybe a 9 out of 10. Due to the weight, I'm dropping it 1. The pen itself, the ballpoint Zero, is a great pen. I like it a lot. It has a good battery source. It does last a long time, and the construction feels solid, which is a really good thing. Charge time doesn't take too long, so again, I'll probably get about an 8.5, 9. So I'll give it a good 8.5 just to kind of give it a good number. Because of the fact that the weight does hurt, and I did feel it, I'm going to drop that down just a little bit. In terms of general overall, I guess, satisfaction of the pen, for me, I would say that's about a 7, mainly because, again, it does have use, not professional use just yet. It's definitely more kind of gimmicky, a little bit more just for entertainment and fun, and I do like that aspect of it. I think a lot of other people can definitely benefit more from it, but for me personally, not there just yet, because it can't record every single line, and pressure sensitivity just yet. Also, some of the faint lines, you just don't get it. So that's why I'm going to drop that down to a 7. In terms of the ink quality, that's Zebra pens. If you guys have used Zebra ballpoint pens, you're pretty much going to understand how it feels. But the paper quality in the sketchbook that I'm using right now, tied to the Kim Jung Gi brand, is a great sketchbook. It's very smooth. A lot of other mediums work well towards it. So that's pretty much it. Overall, again, satisfaction was a part of that. I think one last thing I want to bring up, the one thing that did kind of hurt it, was the fact that I like to draw in spreads. And so when I draw in spreads, unfortunately, the pen only records per page. So when I have per page and I have to stitch them together separately, it's a lot more work. So hopefully you guys can get over that. But anyways, here's the pen itself. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. It is a very pretty pen, a very solid build, but again, due to the weight, I'm going to have to definitely say this is not one I would use all the time. So enjoy, and hopefully the next review that is coming up, you guys will take a look at it again. Hopefully another brush pen, or possibly the high-tech is what I'm going to look at next. So thanks a lot, you guys. Thanks for stopping by.